What is up, YouTube and the internet? This is Joe on day 30. All right. Today we have some Driscoll strawberries. A bunch of them were moldy. The person working in produce was picking them out and sorted most of the bad ones out, and one was left behind, and I was able to get it. Score. All right, we have some green onion bits. When we prepare green onions, we take the outer leaf off and cut the ends minimally to even it out for stocking. It's visually appealing, but you don't have to do that. You can just take a little bit off, but you don't have to take much. We're going to eat those up. Okay, we have some smashed raspberries from Berries Paradise. Some Mr. Lucky organic tomatoes from Mexico, signature brand organic bell pepper, and we have some apples here, some Pink Lady Gala, Pink Lady Honeycrisp, and a local apple from the Iowa State Horticulture Research Farm. Okay, lots of different varieties there. Very delicious, very local. Okay, we have some Yukon Gold potatoes, slightly squishy, and some berry juice got on that one. And the score of the day would be the organic Smart Chicken, certified humane, non-GMO, USDA organic. It was dated yesterday, October 29th. So I'm going to put it in the freezer and use it soon. Okay. And you want to be careful with meats. You want to smell and inspect. You don't want to eat anything that smells bad, because I'm telling you, there's some grass-fed beef that you smell and it just smells like you should eat it uncooked. So yeah, certain meats smell good to some people. Maybe you don't have the digestive enzymes to break it down and you have to be a vegan. That's totally fine. You can have a wide variety of diet. You don't have to have ultra high temperature pasteurized A2 milk from October 13th on October 30th. Here's the thing. I opened it the other day. Smelled and tasted fine. Ultra high temperature pasteurized gives ultra high temperature pasteurization gives milk a shelf life of 30 to 60 days at least. There are other big companies that do this. Ideally, you would get minimally processed dairy such as raw milk or raw milk Gouda. Some places do not allow it. Some places do. So know your farmer. Know if the animal is in good condition, and it's your own risk. And I don't recommend raw milk. However, when I was working at this one farm, we had some pet food in the fridge. You see, this pet food was raw milk. So you just have to, feed it to your inner pet. Now, I'll tell you what, this raw milk or pet food, right, it would have a shelf life of about a week. There'd be cream on top. I would put that in my oatmeal with some nuts or berries or seeds or something, maple syrup and cinnamon, something like that. Maybe some butter and or milk, something like that. And within a week, it would start to go sour. You could still drink it. You can make different things out of it. You can make cheese. You can make all sorts of things. So yeah, if you can't digest dairy or you don't want to eat animals for health reasons, by all means. But if you do, try to source the best you can find. Happy cows make happy foods. Okay. Also have some Smart Bran. What kind of bran do we have? The brand of the bran. Smart Bran. Wheat bran. Oat fiber, cane sugar, psyllium husk. Barley malt extract, oat bran, whole oat flour, and sea salt. Well, the sea salt's not organic. I don't know why the ocean's not organic. If we plant a bunch of kelp and seaweed, we can actually sequester carbon out of the atmosphere, because seaweed and kelp, according to GreenWave.org and other reputable scientific papers, they sequester much more carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere than land plants, relatively. So if we take, let's say, a couple percent of the ocean and we're just having these kelp and seaweed farms, we could take all the nutrients and we can have mussels and bivalves like clams and things have filtering the water effects in cages. They're doing this. It's like 3D ocean farming. It's like a food forest in the ocean, and yeah, it's a good way to get things going. And you can also feed the seaweed and kelp to cattle, and it reduces their methane and their farts. So It's a win-win, and you can also make fertilizer, a whole bunch of different things, just capturing the natural, free, and abundant nutrients in the atmosphere, in the soil. We must look to the cycles of nature, especially the nitrogen cycle, the carbon cycle, the oxygen cycle, and of course the hydrogen cycles, because lots of things use hydrogen. So that is abundant among us, and we must tap into that. And also take a look at our waste streams in our communities. Do we know someone who has chickens? Maybe we can connect them with the local grocer that has food waste. For example, today I added 2 new people to the compost master list, and this person has chickens and would be willing to accept any greens or food waste, rotting onions, whatever, for free. And he would give it to his chickens or compost it, and that would reduce the landfill. And the more people that seek it, it creates a system. And within that system, it creates diversity because you're taking, let's just estimate, okay, 100 pounds a day, sometimes 50 to 100 pounds a day. So we're talking tons over weeks, and thousands of pounds, tens of thousands of pounds of food. And a lot of this is just water, you know, and 95% of the dry mass of a plant by a weight basis would be carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and hydrogen. These things are abundant, and the micronutrients make up the smaller percentages. And so, looking to the stardust within, we must try to eat a balanced stardust diet. And some people are against processed foods, and in a way, all foods are processed. This milk was processed with heat to sterilize. These onions were maybe processed with cow poop in the soil that enriched it, and the soil bacteria broke it down in the soil food web, and the plants bringing it up, and the animals cycling it and stuff. And so, yeah, the nutrition from the soil is high on this green material. Or, excuse me, and you also have these Yukon potatoes, which are tubers that store energy too. I recommend growing things like sweet potatoes, yams, squash, winter squash especially, all sorts of winter squash, onions, garlic, all these storage crops, long-term storage. So if you have a cellar or something, you can store carrots or beets or radishes or all these different tubers. It's something that stores value over time, because a tomato on your counter, if you don't eat it, if it's bruised, it'll start to go bad. And so some things just have a longer shelf life. Like, let's see, here's a mango from the other day. It has a kind of a brown tip here, that's why it was put out. And this brown tip might fester, if you will. But this definitely having some coloring, it still feels pretty firm. And yeah, here's a plum that has been sitting here for at least 2 weeks, and it's alive. It has these cells that are all alive, and they're protected because they have this skin. This waxy cuticle layer protects it, and it's meditating its energy because it's going to slowly over time lose its energy, and it's going to shrivel and dehydrate. This process can be sped up with heat and fans to control the process versus having a bunch of fruit sitting out possibly rotting. So, but still, this one is high potential here. And what we have the HGO Farms red plum. And you could take the seed and you could try growing it and to see if you have a new variety. Because they always say for conventional apple orchards where you take one variety, you want to ensure the same asexual clone. And that makes sense because a lot of avocado, apple, mango, citrus, they're all grafted plants. You have a superior rootstock and a superior scion or budwood that has your desired fruit. And that's great, and cultivars are good in that sense for human food. But we also need to consider the native ecotypes and the native species, because here in Iowa there's the Prunus americanus, the native wild plum. And from that, there have been breeding projects with other Prunus species, like the cherry plum and all these different native species. We should have a balance of those with the cultivars of the juicy big fruits, because the Prunus americana fruits are relatively small, but they're really delicious. It's like a big cherry, essentially, a purple big cherry. And it's good to have a wide variety of plants in the landscape, because imagine walking down your street and you see a bunch of maple trees planted next to sidewalks, and you're thinking to yourself, gee, shouldn't they not plant trees next to sidewalks because there's possibly utility lines and sidewalks there? Because over time, if you look at big trees next to sidewalks, you see that the tree and the roots are creating this massive pressure, and it's lifting the sidewalks up, and that can create a tripping hazard, and someone can fall and get hurt, or if someone's in a wheelchair, they won't be able to go over it. And so we need to consider these things when planting next to sidewalks. Sure, plant a shrub, plant some wildflowers, but don't plant a climax oak savanna tree, an oak tree in the middle of a sidewalk. Plant that in the backyard. Just proper placement of plants promotes proper prosperity, propagating potential, pleasantly pushing positively, promoting propagation promptly. Products produce potential. Progress promotes principles. Progress. Okay, so I'm going to put this food away and have some of it. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe to this channel. Share this video. Get the word out about these concepts. GreenWave.org. Check it out. Local composting systems, call to action, microremediation on your soils. All right, this is Joe on day 30. Have a good night.